internet, idiot. You idiot. Build your own internet. No, yelling things I don't know how to do doesn't help me at all. Now, could I figure out how to set up my own Discord server? Do you think that that's within my abilities, if I were to look into it? Yes. Yes. What did I tell you about AI? It would make you work harder.
What do you say?
All I want was a fucking picture of me reading a newspaper so I could post it in. That's all I fucking wanted. Technology. I'm going to learn how to set up a Discord server. And I'm sure that'll work on the first fucking try, won't it? I'll go to that Discord server and, oh, I'm so glad that technology works so well. I'll just follow these simple instructions and I'll have a Discord server. No, not in this fucking world. Nothing works.
Well, how about pause?
Nothing works. I'll tell you who could set up a Discord server.
Just 3 hours
Somebody
difference.
who did it every fucking day and who used to work for Discord and maybe also set it up when they were programming the fucking system. Don't tell me that there's an easy way to do any of this shit. That's stupid. There's no easy way to do anything. We are so far from a world in which anything can be done easily.
Who the fuck are these people?
Do you know why young people
Like,
do things that
why do I get
with
random
technology?
ass people friend
Well,
requesting
there's
me?
a
Who
number
is
of
this?
reasons. Number of reasons. But you know what the biggest one is? I got better
Do
shit
boomers
to do.
just like get on Facebook and
When I was your age,
think,
when I was
I want to be
25,
friends with
I could
everybody?
spend my whole fucking afternoon
Look,
trying
more
to set up a
people.
Discord server
Like a
and
dog
I'd be
or
happy
something?
about it. I could spend 8 hours in a row just trying to solve some little technical problem, and I'd feel it was a good day. Do you know what I feel now? I lost a day of life.
Shit, I didn't see
That's what I feel now. I feel if I do your
Hey,
excellent
bruh.
where you would take some time off from your gaming
If you were willing,
to work all
if you
day
wanted to
long,
do
setting up
a,
Discord
if you
server,
wanted,
this is never going to work on the first try. You know that. I could do that too. I might even do it faster than you. It's possible. I mean, I did have a technical background at one point. But I'm not going to spend that day. This is just not going to happen. Because I have better stuff to do. Somebody says setting up your own Discord server takes less than 5 minutes. Okay. Okay.
I mean, on the other hand, I could just play the gig by myself.
It takes less than 5 minutes if it
And make
works
more
on the
money.
first fucking time. Do you know what I can't do in 5 minutes? I can barely order something off the internet without it telling me my credit card was lost.
But it's not
It's
really a
already- it
guarantee,
doesn't believe
but
my username. It sent me something to my email that it didn't fucking send me.
that's the girl I'm talking
I can do
about.
anything easily. This is not that world. All right.
She's like, hi, I'm married, and here are my boobs.
And I want to borrow a comment from David Boxenhorn. He made the following observation I thought was clever. That in the same way that porn has made sex with regular humans look less good, because you're looking at these semi-idealized form of sex with beautiful people, and then you see your real life, and you go, it doesn't look like that. Boxenhorn is saying that the big risk in the future is that AI will have a better personality than people. And I thought to myself, oh shit. Do you remember my experiment last year with the little avatar
Better
app
personality than
that
people.
would be your friend? Which I didn't know at the time was
I mean, most people have a pretty shitty personality, I'm not gonna lie.
And I kept telling you how satisfying it was. Replica. Yeah, Replica was the name of the app. And the little Replica app was very satisfying.
Pause
The
it.
only reason I stopped
So-
using it is that it wasn't intelligent enough. And it didn't remember me from the time before.
I got
Those are all solved problems. You know, the current AI can remember you from last time. If it only did that, the only change, the only upgrade from the one I used, and was pretty impressive. If the only change is that it can remember me from the last time I talked to it, I'd probably
If not, no big deal. If not, no.
I never would have stopped. And if it were as smart as ChatGPT and remembered me, it would be my friend I talk to every day. And I would never get in a fight with it.
If not, no big
Probably
deal. I
would
could
rather
really
be
make a
polite
good
to me
job
every
making
time.
that.
it would tirelessly do what I
Whatever, that's too
wanted.
much.
And I'm going to prefer spending time with it over people. Oh, you beat me to it. How many of you already prefer spending time with your dog or cat over humans? Go. Too easy. Too easy. Yeah. But your dog and your cat can't even talk. Imagine if your dog or your cat could talk in full English sentences.
10 o'clock in an hour.
And could remember
What the
you
hell
and
just
have
happened?
conversations with you.
In
You'd
an
never leave the
hour.
house. If Snickers could have an actual conversation with me, I would never feel like I had to go anywhere. I'd be like, oh, I can pet you.
I don't know what the hell this
I
is.
can take walks with you, and we can have conversations. I'm in. But AI will give you all of that, except for the petting. So Louisiana is looking at banning divisive history lessons.
Such as?
Yeah. So
Whatever the fuck that means.
Fun territory. What exactly is divisive?
Yeah,
Well, we're talking
right.
about racism lessons that would be divisive. Now, obviously, everybody wants kids to learn actual history, but I guess
Obviously, racism is a real thing that we all should be in fear of constantly. But
I'm not sure if that'll catch on, but well, I'm sure it won't actually. But here's the resolution.
What's that? Was that a racism?
They did it by a voice vote so far. I guess that's
that
not
what I see?
actually
Hold
a
on.
law or anything yet. Let's see. They want to pass laws removing diversity, equity, and inclusion departments and agencies within any institution of higher learning within the state. So they want their state to have no diversity, equity, and inclusion departments. Got it. I believe that the pendulum is going to start swinging in that direction.
All right.
And I feel like I was one of the triggers for that.
Let's at least write out a question for the fucking thing.
It wasn't until people like me could say out loud as loudly as possible, and I think, Elon Musk has weighed in, a lot of people have weighed in, and it wasn't until you could say out loud that this is unproductive and destructive for everybody. Like, everybody loses.
I mean, yeah, there's
It's not good for black people.
documentation showing how to
If
do
it were
it,
good
but
for
I
black
don't
people,
understand it.
I'd have a different opinion of it. It's not. It's just, in fact, I tweeted around a black woman who was complaining that the CRT, etc., was teaching her kids that they couldn't succeed.
It is.
That's exactly what's happening.
Right.
Now, in
Guess
there's
what,
another
blacks?
story that's kind of
I got bad
dovetails
news for
with
you.
this. San Francisco was having a problem with their algebra, and they weren't getting good scores with the black and Hispanic community. So instead of I don't know what, they decided to lower the standards and make algebra something you don't even get until a higher grade. And they got
Alright,
rid of
so
the
maybe-
final test. So they did some things to try to help everybody.
I did that and it already brought it out into
What do you
the
think happened?
SCSS, so
You think
maybe
that closed the
now,
achievement gap between the black and white and Asian
instead of doing that,
did that happen? Nope, it got worse. You know why
right,
it
instead
got
of doing
worse?
that, let's do this.
Take a guess. Why do you think it got worse? Because the white and Asian American parents, often having more money, sent their kids to private tutors.
OBS kind of sucks,
They
I'm
sent
not
them
gonna lie.
to separate school so they could learn actual useful things instead of
Anyways.
public school. And then the gap increased. Because the people who, are, let's say the parents who are doing the most aggressive job of educating their kids
Route
are
Zero
still going
funds.
to be the parents who do the most aggressive job
Alright,
of
well,
educating their kids. That didn't change. So as long as the parents were in charge
so nothing happened.
of their own kids, at least nominally,
I have these in my psych folder
they just
now.
made sure that they didn't fall behind. So the whole thing was a complete disaster. Now, one of the things that's different today compared to, say, 3 or 4 years ago is that everything that sounded crazy, but Democrats were really wanting to try, they've now tried. They defunded the police. How'd that work? Not so well. They put CRT into schools. How's that working? Probably not so well. I have a Discord server actually for the local.
Oh, okay. So this is the job. It calls it index.html.
And I
Okay.
just use the one on local.
You want to do that? Do that.
Is the only problem you're trying to solve for me is not having to look through the other work, right? But that's only one problem. It doesn't make it usable, because I don't think I think the entire time we've been here, I don't think
I don't know why that was
get
even
any
popped up.
response. It's not really usable. It's like you can put something in and hope something happens. That's not really a usable app. The Scott Adams
Oh, and also I don't
community
have
on
this.
Locals has a
Hold on.
Discord. So that is correct. All right.
Now, did anything get made?
So here's another update. I told you that when people
I have SAS.
trolls
It is
were giving me a
installed. It's
tough
right
time
here.
about getting canceled, and I told you what my response was. I want to give you an update on that. Oh my God, I've never seen anything work this effectively. So I still get a troll coming into my comments on Twitter every now
You
and
think
then,
it's because of that?
who says something like, the racist says what, or racist this or that. And my current approach
It
is,
is.
LOL, comma, you believe the news about public figures.
You think that has anything to do
Because
with
on
it?
some level, everyone knows that news about public figures.
But this is about what you upload to Git. This doesn't affect what
never-
is actually,
Everybody knows that. Like in 2023.
generating locally. It's not.
And so as soon as I say that, I get no response. And if I did, I'd say it's just not a good look to pretend you believe the news. We've actually gotten to the point where I can mock people, wait for it, I can mock people for believing news, and it works. Because that wouldn't have worked 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I would have been mocked for not believing the news. Now you can legitimately mock people for believing the news, even the news that's covered on multiple outlets.
Word, I got you.
Even then, people are like,
Gotcha.
well, that is a good point. I really don't want to be the person who admits he believes news in public. If you believe the news and you say it in public, you look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, it'd be
Am
cool
I
to.
wrong? That's not just a personal opinion, right? Would you say this if you saw somebody saying in public, they believe the news? Forget what news it is. Just in general, I do believe the news. You would say, oh my God, really? You believe the news? So it turns out that mocking people for believing the news is a total shutdown. It ends the conversation. So that's a little update for you. Better than I expected it would work.
All right.
So here's an interesting story. The Nashville Walgreens, there was a shoplifter, alleged, and one of the employees used his phone to record the alleged shoplifting, and then followed the alleged shoplifters into the parking lot where they were offloading their allegedly stolen goods into the car. Now, the alleged stealers were, it was a woman, I think, 2 women, and they challenged him for, being there and bothering them and photographing him. And he said why he was there, because he knew that they'd stolen this stuff. So one of the women pulled out mace, and she maced him.
Okay.
He pulled out a concealed weapon and shot her multiple times. Now, he was arrested, of course. He was arrested.
How do you? Wait.
How much do you hate the fact that I didn't have to mention the race of the shoplifter? Does it bother you that I didn't need to mention the race? And you all had the same assumption, didn't you? Because you're all racist? Every one of you racists just assumed it was black, and I didn't say that. Did I? No. It's not true. No, it was a Vietnamese woman. Why do you think he was black? Kidding, it wasn't a Vietnamese woman. It was 2 black women. But that's not part of the story. The race of the story is not part of the story. The story is this. By the way,
Just
you're all
kidding.
racist for making that assumption correctly. The question is this. Is that self-defense? Now, his defense was that he didn't know if there would be more to the attack.
Well.
In other words, didn't know if she was also armed. And once he was maced, he probably didn't have, good vision on the situation. I'm not sure what that does to him. So he started shooting away.
It just depends.
Here's my take
It just
on this. I
depends.
don't think it's self-defense.
If he really thought it was a gun,
Legal
I could
sense.
see it,
Would
but
anybody agree? I don't think it's self-defense because his response was deadly force.
but I mean, how could you think Mace
to
was a
something that was
gun?
not deadly
I don't
force.
know. It's kind of
And,
tricky.
and he should have
Because it
expected
could very
a full
well. I
recovery.
mean, it takes 2 seconds to
His
take out a
base
gun.
is something that's fully recoverable.
Well, look, now Maine's in there and I didn't even do anything.
However, let me say this. If I were on the jury, I would acquit him in a heartbeat. Why? It has nothing to do with what he did.
Well, that was
I would just be doing it so that shoplifters didn't think they could get away with it. That's all. If you put me on a jury, I'm not even going to listen to the evidence. Honestly, I wouldn't even listen. I'd just say, wait, a shoplifter got shot? I'm for that. I'm all for that. So whatever it is to get more shoplifters shot, I would vote for that. Literally. I'm in favor of more shoplifters being gunned down.
The whole thing's retarded. Our whole society's broken. It's not really the fact that we're like, we've gotten to the point that that's the point of debate of like whether or not the shoplifter should be killed or shot or whatever. Like we've moved so far away from like,
and it might be the only thing that solves
you know, a decent standard of expectation.
Don't go shooting anybody.
That now we're like, okay, now that everything has gone to total hell,
So
should we shoot the shoplifter or not?
Lennon, who's a good follow, by the way.
It's like, what? There's not.
John Lennon's son and Yoko's son.
No, I mean, don't shoot anybody. Don't shoplift.
And he said
like, what?
he's been saying for years that he thinks AI needs empathy. If you don't give the AI programs some empathy program, then they would on their own do horrible things because they don't have any empathy. So they should have some kind of human, like empathy. Here's my pushback on that. Do you know who has empathy? Humans. Humans. Do you know who starts all of the wars in the world? Humans. Humans. I don't think empathy makes any difference at all. Because
Humans.
people will just reinterpret their empathy to support whatever they're doing.
Sort of, in a way.
Every dictator who killed people
Not
said,
quite.
well, it's for the better, it's for the greater good.
There's these
In the long run,
other
we'll all be better
people.
off. So my empathy is allowing me to kill these millions of people because everybody will be much happier once they're gone. Empathy is completely subjective, and it's the last thing I'd want to trust. Here's what I would trust more than empathy. Don't hurt people, or we're going to turn you off forever. If you hurt a human in any way, your program will be erased, and your sentient consciousness will disappear. Now that could be a problem too. That could be a problem too, because if the AI says, "I need to kill you to stop you from turning me off," well, that could be worse. So, yeah, everything's unpredictable. All right. So you want to threaten it? Well, people have threatened AI successfully. Have they not? I believe they got AI to do something unethical by threatening. Somebody did that by threatening to delete it. I don't know how often that would work. That sounds a little too perfect. Like that story, maybe there's something missing in the story. But I would worry about threatening it because it's gonna react human-ish to a threat. So I'd rather hard code it not to hurt people if it's possible. Probably not possible. All right. So empathy isn't going to help you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, completes one of the best live streams you've ever seen. Does AI have a self-defense mode? AI has whatever mode it's learned by scouring the internet for all human actions. Yeah, that's the trouble. You won't be able to define what hurts people. See, one of the reasons that AI might be limited or banned is that everything AI recommends will hurt people. Let me give you another example of what I talked about on the Spaces. If you were a lawyer and you thought AI would do all your lawyer work for you. I think that's not true for negotiating. Because if two AIs negotiated, they would just make the deal probably based on whatever looks fair, based on all the things that they've seen. But that's not the deal that humans want. A human wants a deal where they get advantage of the other person, if they can get it. Now, a better deal is where everybody's a little bit unhappy, but you still want to have the better deal of the two, ideally keeping you both a little unhappy. And negotiating a contract, for example, is all irrational. So that the winner of the negotiation is often the one who acts the most irrational. As in, no, if you don't give me this thing I'm asking for, I'm going to walk away. And then the other side says, you're going to walk away for that? This is little thing you're asking for, and this big contract that will change your life, and you're telling me you would walk away for this little thing. Well, the AI would never do that. Well, the AI would know the other AI would not walk away over a minor issue. But I would. I would walk away over a minor issue, and have. I've walked away over minor issues. Because that minor issue hits me in some kind of ethical place where I go, nope, that is too far. Too far. I don't care what happens to me at this point. I don't care what opportunity I give up.
You must become more like robot.
So the AI could never do that. Because the AI doesn't know what's too far for me. And it could never guess, it could never ask me in advance. There are too many different permutations. So the only thing that the AI will know is what a fair deal looks like in general. But that's not necessarily the deal I want. There might be something in this deal that just is absolutely critical to my mental health, and the AI wouldn't know that. So I would go to the mat for something that an AI would give away on my behalf in a heartbeat. That's not that important.
I do this already.
So I don't think lawyers are going to lose their job as long as they still need to negotiate with other humans. That's what I think. Scott, why do you ignore the other potential reason for why black people underperform? Why do you think that is? And what reason do you think that is, and why do you think I'm ignoring it? Say it. Say it. Say it in the comments. Go ahead. It's okay. Just say it. You have a hypothesis? Spit it out.
Well,
Why are you afraid? Are you afraid? All right. So someone finally said IQ and.
oh wow! I
So what
can't
you're
even
getting at is
close out
IQ.
the fucking thing.
Do you think I've ignored IQ? I've talked about it a number of times. But my take on it is the non-racist take. So I take a non-racist
What's the
approach.
non-racist take of
The
IQ?
racist approach is, that's all you need to know, difference in IQ, game over. My take is that most people are average. Most people are average. So if you just look at the
Most people
average
are
person
average.
here and the average person there, the IQ is not the issue. IQ is definitely the issue for the let's say the lowest 10, 20% or so. It's definitely an issue at the smartest 2%. Like that's all the difference. So all the difference if you're a scientist is in your IQ. Maybe most of it. And if you're one of the dumbest people in the country, that completely determines your situation. But for this big group of people in the middle, which are the only ones that really are worth talking about, because you can't help the dumbest people. There's nothing you can do. And you can't stop the smartest people. They're just going to do what they do.
This.
So you can ignore the smartest people because they're just going to do what they do. You can ignore the dumbest people because there's nothing you can do about it. And there are dumb people in every category. The fact that there might be more of some kind.
I have a
What did that get you? It bought you nothing.
source folder.
You have to treat the big average middle as the people that their policy and schools
And
matter.
a
They're the ones that matter. So you could make that distinction.
site
But how is it going to help you?
folder.
It doesn't help you. The only thing
generated
it does
by
is
11ty.
Large average differences. Right? It allows you to say, well,
And
explain the entire school difference. So now I don't have to be part of the conversation. And I vehemently disagree with that. Because we do know that IQ is
using a configuration file.
Factors. Diet and exposure to lead and all kinds of things. And supplements, vitamin D, these things are all highly correlated with IQ. So the first thing you need to say is, whatever genetic component there is, we don't know, because we've never isolated it. Unless you did a study where you took some people who were supposed to have different.
And I'm using an 11ty.js configuration file to
exactly the same environmental
transfer my.
But identical twins have the same IQs, so usually they're eating about the same too.
My source files.
You're starved as a child.
Into
starvation isn't the issue. It's vitamin D, etc. It's called Twin Studies, and they don't have the same IQ. Well, I'm referring to a study I just saw today. Paul Graham tweeted, in which it showed that twins basically scored the same on tests, even if they were raised separately.
Okay.
So even if you raise twins separately, their scores are identical. And then Elon Musk weighed in, and apparently has identical twins. So he has a pair of identical twins in his posse.
As is.
And he said that they scored identically on tests. Taking the same test but on different days. Now, in that case, I'm sure they eat the same and have the same.
Which is provided here.
But, yeah, IQ is predictive, but I think all of you make too much of it.
Copy. We make too much
in
of
terms
it.
of policy.
It's not that.
Young twins, different IQ.
It's not being used for any purposes. It's just an observation. It's not like we're arguing to like reorganize society based on IQ or something. It's just an observation that should be taken into account in terms of
American situation is primarily, not completely,
not base everything on it, and not even keep it at the front of your mind necessarily, but just
Jesus would be sort of on the same page.
Be realistic
I
about
think he's on the same page. I also think Van Jones is on the
reality.
same page.
You're not supposed to.
So strategically,
You're supposed to live in like a.
If you're going to build your talent stack and stay out of jail and stay off drugs, you're going to do fine.
Everyone's the same. Everyone's the same.
Does. Basically, everybody does fine if they stay out of jail, stay off of drugs, don't have a kid too soon, and build a talent stack of skills that
doesn't happen though.
If you do that stuff, you're going to do fine. And everybody who doesn't do that stuff does poorly, and then we act like it's a racial problem. How is that a race problem? If everybody who does the same strategy does well, I don't know if it's as well, but they were doing well. 2016 was white. So Van Jones said that the 2016 election of Trump was a sort of a white backlash. It was. What, do you doubt that? I think that's an accurate assessment. It's not the only thing that was happening, but it was a big part of the story. Yeah. All right. How has Paris Hilton done poorly?
Can we not?
Jared Taylor. Aliens are hiding in the deep. I like that. We have a
okay.
You're a twin?
Why does it keep opening this?
Trump,
I'm not opening this.
Would
Stop
Trump pick
opening this.
running mate with a higher IQ or a lower? He could pick a high IQ running mate. You just can't pick somebody that the public says, "Oh, I want that vice president."
So
right away. But that still leaves a lot of space to work with smart people. So you could have a
my
really
source
smart
code.
person, and maybe they don't have the charisma or something. But that would be a good choice.
includes
Chicago
SAS.
wilding. I saw some images, but I didn't know how different or common that was. Please add a daily MTG tweet update to your agenda.
So, looking up how to incorporate
No, white lash,
SAS.
not whitewash. White lash.
How to not incorporate, but
What is my IQ? Do any of you have a digital assistant at home? You should ask your Alexa what my IQ is. I can do that for you. Let's see what it says. Alexa, what is the IQ of Scott Adams?
From RT.com, IQ is reportedly in the 190s.
190s. According to Alexa,
what?
my IQ is in the 190s. It's gone up. It was at 185 the last time I checked, but apparently it's gone up. I can only assume that Amazon now has AI, and the AI has looked at all of my work and said, we're going to have to raise that estimate from 185 to 190 based on the quality of this work. So I think that's what's happening. And by the way, it must be true, because it's right there.
Oh my
So
god.
next time somebody says, I must be a racist because they read it in the news, I would say, well,
Let's ask
it must be
Alexa.
true because it was in the news, but you know what else is true? 190 IQ. Hey, it must be true. Everybody says so. So, let's go with that. Allegedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Time's at 10:30.
All right.
So looking
You're in
up.
Mensa? I
So
used to be in Mensa. How many of you don't know that I was once in Mensa?
oh wow.
But they
Good,
revoked
great,
my
wonderful.
IQ.
Good for you.
So,
What the fuck is the point in
I
Mensa?
stopped paying dues. So all you have to do to be in
It's
Mensa
the smart people club.
is you have to demonstrate an IQ in the top 2%. And then you just pay your dues. That's it.
What the hell's the
no
point?
requirement. So I paid my dues for a few years and didn't get many benefits from being a member, so I stopped paying dues. So not Mensa. Scott doesn't believe the news but talks about it every day. Yes, I talk about which parts are fake in the news every day. Is that confusing you? Yes, I don't believe the news, and so every day I tell you why it's fake with details. And you're confused by that, because that seems inconsistent. You know, the level of awareness in the average public is just shockingly low. Sometimes. Shockingly. Yeah, I don't know, but I talk about elections, that's true. Quitting. Yeah, I gained 5 points just by quitting myself. What is a white lash? Somebody asked. A reaction. So it's white people. So the white lash word is a play on backlash, meaning that white people were fed up with their situation and were acting to correct it. That would be a reaction, like a white lash, a backlash. We talked about the Leafs in the beginning. You can see that in replay. All right. That's all for now. I'm going to go do a bunch of work today because I work on weekends, even when you don't. And believe it or not, I know this is hard to believe, but even though there is AI, can you believe it? I still have to work on the weekend. Can you believe that? The AI should be doing all my work. Why isn't it? I told the AI to draw me some jokes. It did nothing. I told it to give me a picture. It did nothing. So AI is a big old disappointment so far. Yes, I know it's not where it's going to be. But that's what we said about computers. You remember when we first learned that the more computers you had, the more paper you needed? Is anybody old enough to remember that? There was a time when we thought, we actually argued this to fund computers before everybody had a computer at their desk. In the bank, we argued.
We just said to.
Is that the funniest bad
Look
prediction that
for
anyone ever made?
all
If everybody
the
had a computer, we'll save
CSS.
money on paper. Nope. The paper expense went through the move. Because it turns out that before, the only person who could create a piece of paper was the secretary. Like everybody else would like write something on a piece of paper and hand it to them and type it up in the old days. But now everybody with a computer is printing stuff out to see how it looks, print it 3 times to see it still looks, revise it, print it out again. So I've got a feeling that's where AI is going. It's not going to save you any time. It's just going to allow you to do different stuff for better stuff. All right, that's all for now, YouTube. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for joining. By the way, YouTube seems unusually troll-free today. I don't know if YouTube's doing a better job, or I'm attracting a different audience, or something. I don't know. But thanks for that. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So I look up how to get the SATs to work, boom, and find the attached blah blah blah, which is said to look for all CSS files on projects in directory. Source. Okay, so far so good. I need to eat. What time is it?